Good to see you, Seth. Doing well. Lots of great things going on, and believe it or not, it's crazy. Most school districts around here got 30 to 45 days until the end of the school year, and it happens fast. I was reading off just some events that we've got coming up in our district at the board meeting last night, and it took a while, but there's a lot of events at the end of the year. Graduation, baccalaureate, all those things that it's all kind of crunched into one. We just had our ACT yesterday too, so that went off really well. So. Well, the district-wide testing yesterday with the ACT, freshmen, sophomores did their pre-ACT, and it's interesting for the state of Illinois because we're going back to that. For the last 10, I want to say at least 10 years, we've been SAT. So, that was a little bit of a change and a challenge. I know with the ACT they do require the writing component, so it took a little bit longer for the kids to complete that yesterday, but all in all, we were prepared, trained, and it went off without a hitch. So, academically, we're winding down, obviously, with the IAR testing, with our final benchmarking with NWEA and MAP scores. We've had some of our teachers have been reached out to by NWEA, and they will be presenting at the conference this summer in New Orleans and also next summer when it comes to Chicago. So exciting things there that we've been able to really utilize that partnership and show great growth with our students. Last day of school in Mount Pulaski. Let me check my calendar because I don't want to misspeak. There's so much going on, but it is May 23rd, so that Friday. We'll have our Teacher Institute on Tuesday because obviously the 26th being I always get these confused. Is it Labor Day or Memorial Day in May? So it'll be Memorial Day on the 26th. We'll have our Teacher Institute on the 27th. Graduation for us will be that weekend of the 24th, 25th. So it's coming close, man. It was a little less on the agenda last night, but still a very productive meeting. We renewed our memberships with IESA, approved student handbooks moving forward. We're kind of laying the groundwork this year. Philosophically, obviously, me being first year Supt and my activities director, Jonathan Jordan, being first year activities director, and so we kind of revamped and changed a lot of the language that was in the code of conduct. We do have two separate codes of conduct now, one for athletics and one for activities. Just things like we're trying to streamline everything. So one prime example of that is if a kid violates the code of conduct, which is 24/7, 365 days a year, there used to be game suspensions in there. Well, obviously that looks very different from a 30 game volleyball or baseball schedule compared to a 9 game football season. So you might be suspended 3 games. Well, that's 10% of a baseball season, but it's 33% of a football season. So we kind of changed to a model to where it's a percentage of the season that they're violating. And if it's an issue where it's a student who vaped. Well, if they go through an educational program, then we're willing to reduce that suspension, as well as if they're willing to, give some of their time for community service. That's the whole part. It's not just the punitive punishment. It's the restorative practice, and that's what we really want to preach with our kids. Not only punitively punish them, but give them the education and let them know why they made that mistake and why as future leaders in our communities, those aren't the decisions they should be making. So Jonathan has done a great job kind of revitalizing that handbook, organizing it, adhering to policy, with concussion protocols and all those kinds of things. And so we are certainly well on our way. It's been a lot of work this year, but we're laying the foundational framework, and all the years ahead, in theory, knock on wood, will flow a little smoother. Yeah, so we are we have a big Quonset shed right across the street from the high school. We've been able to preserve some things in there, like trophies and things like that. Just because, every school district in the state of Illinois is always short on storage, right? So, but there's also things in there like old desks and things that we've kind of held on to, but we just don't use them. So, long story short, on April 26th, we are going to have our Quonset hut and Quonset shed clean out. So we're going to open it up to the community. The community can come in, walk through it, take anything that they would like for free. Whether it's trophies, old backboards from gyms, things like that. And then whatever's left, we're going to haul up, put in a trailer and haul it away. And then we want to revitalize the use of that space. So it has a concrete floor. It's obviously we Mr. Ralph Allen holds our school-owned combine in there because we do have an ag plot right outside of town. So yeah, so it's big enough to house those things, but it would also allow us to create room in there for a golf simulator, which we have and we own as a district. So we could set up the golf simulator in there. That way, kids after school they can go into the Quonset shed, play 18 holes on a simulator, or out at Veterans Park, which we've talked about many times. We do have a putting green out there, a chipping area, and a driving tee box where they can literally drive the golf ball, 20 yards away into a big net. So it's those kinds of things and experiences that we're trying to give our kids, so that way they don't have to drive out to the golf course every day, which is outside of town, for practice. We can stay here sometimes and kind of organize and use our resources to the best of our ability. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so that's part of the Veterans Park um, addition. And so, but again, we want to stress these are community facilities. So, Seth, you want to come out and work on your short game. Next time you're out here, bring your chipper, bring your putter. We'll have a chipping contest out of Veterans Park. So it's really cool. Vonderleith Retirement Community, which is right next to Veterans Park, they actually came to us and they're going to pave their own sidewalks. So right now on the border of Veterans Park and Vonderleith, that retirement community, we have a fence with a gate. But once you walk through that gate from our property to theirs, there's some rock, there's some dirt, there's some ground. And so we want to pave a sidewalk of probably about 50 to 75 feet. That way those retirees can either, come over and walk the track, and it's paved the whole way. They can come over underneath our old concession stand building, which is going to be storage, which is covered, and they can watch our baseball games that are going on. They can come all the way down the sidewalk and watch our soccer games, or our one football game that we're going to host this fall with our co-op with Unity Christian. So we got a lot of really exciting things going on, and we try to be as innovative as we can. We are beyond excited. We actually just met with Unity a couple days ago, and we got a lot of things in the oven that I can't quite talk about yet. But I think that's a teaser for next month when we talk. But certainly, excuse me, certainly hosting that one home playoff game this fall. I believe it's going to be in September. I'll get a date to you next week. But we are in the process because we would really love to align a traditional homecoming week with it. So in the past we've rotated between in the fall for volleyball or in the winter for basketball. And so what we would really love is to, now granted we don't have lights out at Veterans Park yet, so it would probably have to be a Saturday 1 o'clock kickoff. But it provides a possible playoff atmosphere to where we could also maybe run a double header and do a volleyball home game that Friday night and turn it into a Saturday kickoff. And so we're just super excited about there's endless possibilities. So Yes, sir. I'm just looking at the schedule here. We did discuss, excuse me, an LED light board. And so this is really interesting. And you're probably thinking, what the heck is an LED light board? Well, if you've ever been to bigger schools and bigger show choir competitions, sometimes they look like these huge suitcases on wheels because they're on casters. And basically, when they open these up, it's like bands that travel around. You know, they keep their mic cords in them and stuff like that. But basically, you open these up, it's like a chest, and rising out of these are these LED boards that unfold. And if you have six of them, let's say, you can hook them all together, and then the show choir will dance and they'll have graphics going on behind them. And so, obviously, we're not going to purchase one that big, but we're in talks of purchasing a smaller version of one, but something that would certainly be big enough to help us with sets for the play. So there's such a rising cost right now of just lumber in creating sets. And our stage isn't huge, but we make it work. But it's a challenge, creating those sets, putting those sets behind us to give us different scenes. And this light board would be big enough for us to create that digitally. And it would be a dual use for us. So it helps us with the school play, the musical, but then we could also use it for graduation as kids are walking across the stage, showing graduation videos. We can take it out to Veterans Park, and then in the evenings host a Friday night community movie night out there with this digital board. And so we're really trying to promote community involvement in everything that we do because we're really proud of everything we've been able to accomplish. I tell you what, our goal is to promote this community. So anyone moving in the Springfield, Decatur, Lincoln area that wants to choose a great school district to settle down into, that's family based, that's quiet, that has a small teacher to student ratio. I'm telling you, Mount Pulaski is a great place to be, right on the hilltop. Yes, sir. Absolutely. We have two Facebook pages, the Mount Pulaski High School Facebook page and the Mount Pulaski Elementary Facebook page. I can tell you, transitioning into next year, we are actually going to be all hilltoppers. And so there will be no more Bruins and Honey Bears at the junior high level. So we're hilltoppers across the board. So you'll start to see that being reflected on our two Facebook pages, but then also our school website, which is www.mp23schools.com. And I'm personally going to be tasked with kind of revitalizing that website over the summer, making it a little bit more flashy, making it a little more navigatable, if you will. So stay tuned. Right, for sure. Yeah, so the city of Mount Pulaski was able to put in a grant with DCEO in Illinois, Department of Commerce and Economic Organization, and they were able to be awarded a money appropriation for probably a 4 or 5 phase project entitled Safe Routes to Schools. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but essentially, excuse me, it's a project that obviously installs paved sidewalks all throughout our community here in Pulaski. So it's going to be in a 5 phase system. But this summer, we're obviously partnering with the city, and they're going to either repave or put new sidewalks in all throughout the community. So stretching from the elementary school, eventually, the high school is in good shape, but it's the residential areas surrounding those places. Mount Pulaski's on a hill, and sometimes it's a challenge for people who drive the community to see over those hills, visibility, those kinds of things. Kids walking through yards on the way to school, and so we're going to start about a 4 or 5 phase project. Matt Boble, who is our mayor, has informed us and is working with us to make sure that goes off smoothly, and they've been a great partner. And so they're kind of taking it on as the lead, but we're certainly going to reap the benefits to keep our kids safe to and from school. So phase one is this summer, and basically it's the road in front of the elementary school, and then it's 2 blocks away, about a 2 block radius within the elementary school. Phase two expands out a little farther in the community. Phase three eventually connects sidewalks all the way to the high school. Then phase 4 and 5 connects to the northwestern side of town where our cemetery is, where one of our local parks is, who as a park entity is installing 2 pickleball courts this summer. They actually saw the work we were doing out at Veterans Park, and the city said, "Hey, can we revamp our basketball courts into pickleball courts?" And they said, "Absolutely." So as soon as Vernon Jones is done with our project, they're going to go right over there and then put the pickleball courts in. So it's kind of nice. Um, it ends up in phase 5, but I'm not sure if they plan to construct these phases each summer. I believe it's a little bit more expedited than that, but I believe within about 2 or 3 years, the entire project will be completed. But just a couple other things. I know we're running out of time, but we did approve our Washington, D.C. field trip last night. Brian Erlenbush, who's a high school social studies teacher, he takes a group of kids out to Washington, D.C. to view all the historic sites, and they'll absolutely have a blast. So we approved some qualification requirements, academically and behaviorally for those kids to be able to attend that trip. We had kind of a discussion last night, and then we kind of tabled the conversation to finalize it here at our next board meeting. But those kids are super, super excited. We honored our state volleyball girls at the board meeting last night. And then we implemented our concussion oversight team, who is, Matt Munjoy from Maroa Forsyth. He's really been fantastic to help us out. We've hosted a couple tournaments over here. We've brought him over because it's free time that he has. And so he's really helped us a lot with improving the safety of our student athletes. Yeah, so we approved two bids last night. Obviously, we went with a low bid, but our bus barn is getting renovated. Basically, the wooden foundational studs are going to be removed and replaced by concrete reinforced studs. We're keeping the roof, replacing the siding. We're adding a second wash bay. Just things that needed to happen. We're trying to improve all of our buildings and all of our capital projects throughout the district. So that way they'll last us for 50 more years. But there was also, we approved an asbestos abatement. We do have some asbestos tile in one of the offices in the bus barn, but that's fairly minimal. But then this summer, we're also going to repave our parking lots. So that's another summer project we've got going on. So No, trying to stay busy though. We're gonna number our high school parking spaces this year. Probably that's common practice with some other school districts, but we're certainly gonna fall in line there, just to be a little bit more organized. Well, we do receive significant revenue from the wind farms. We've talked about that before. Um, you know, the prime we're a tier 4 school for evidence-based funding, which means out of tiers 1 through 4, we receive the least in the state. I think we're one of 2 tier 4 schools in central Illinois. Now, obviously, the EBF money we do receive goes all to academic improvement, and we've been able to do a fantastic job here, obviously being an exemplary school in the state of Illinois the last 2 years in a row. But that wind farm revenue helps us do a lot. And we feel like we have a strong responsibility, a crucial responsibility for our taxpayers to improve our buildings. So that way, when this revenue starts to deplete, we've got things here in the community that are, number one, of benefit, and number two, that are going to last us for the next 50 years. www.mp23schools.com, and then the Mount Pulaski High School and Elementary School Facebook pages. Seth, it's always a pleasure.